What up, y'all? Appreciate you showing up, hanging out, listening to my dumb ass. Like and subscribe. So, two things to talk about today. One was, I think someone in the comments, it's a bunch of I's, I think. I don't know how to, is it capitalized I's or just lowercase L's? I don't know. But anyway, they asked a question. What I thought about the whole AI replacing workers at Microsoft and stuff, because they fired a bunch of people for AI purposes, or that I'm misparaphrasing, or I'm paraphrasing poorly, but that's the topic basically: AI replacing workers or Microsoft firing workers to replace them with AI. Yeah, right. And I think I did talk about it way before the question was asked, but I think it came up because of something that PlayStation did or something. I don't know. I don't remember. But anyway, I think it was the price hike or something. Or Nintendo? No. Well, actually, Nintendo. Side tangent real quick. Nintendo just fired hundreds of people, so there you go. So they're not immune to all you Nintendolts. Yeah, it happens everywhere. But anyway, about the AI stuff. It's inevitable I think in almost every kind of sector of industry or business. There are going to be advances in technology that replace jobs. For instance, when the automotive industry, back in the day, Ford, it was a bunch of people. There were no such thing as robots. Computers weren't even invented yet. Not since, I think of the late 50s, early 60s, they started messing with the computers, whatever, 70s, actually computers. But, before that, it was in the 30s or whenever he started making cars. There were no computers. It's all people, right? And then the computers come. And even when the computers come, of course, the computers take the place of some people. Depends. A calculator would take the place of the smart math guy in the corner. What happened when the car industry was that when the robots came and they started doing the welding and they started doing all the painting, really dangerous jobs that humans shouldn't be doing anyway, people lost their jobs. The painter lost their job because now robots do the painting because robots can't get lung cancer. It's better for us humans not to do that stuff. But for the painter, have a job. So it's the same difference, except now it's Microsoft, and now you want to point the finger, not you specifically, but you as in ponies and donkey unicorns or whoever's against Microsoft wants to point the finger at Microsoft saying, you're bad because innovation and AI and blah, blah, blah. And a lot of people are afraid of AI. I'm not. My fear is not in AI because AI inherently can't hurt us. It is we who hurt us. It is going to be an evil person who takes the tool of AI and does something to it to hurt someone else. That's what it is. That's how it's always been throughout throughout the history. And that's how it's always going to be until we literally evolve into a higher state of understanding and not non-dumbassery. So, what do I think about Microsoft specifically? I think they're always a little bit ahead of the curve in most things. Most of the time it's bad because the whole of the world industry public, they're not ready. And so they reject it. They say, get out of here. And then Apple or Sony or whoever does it 5 or 10 years later. And then it's oh, that's the best thing in the world. Oh boy, this is great. So that's how it usually goes. But this time AI is something that I think businesses want to use it, but I think some of them will use it irresponsibly in that they will, it's kind of happening already in the video game sector where they're using upscaling and frame generation to compensate for the fact that their game is trash and not optimized. And so they optimize it with those tools to help them limp along across the finish line, which it needs to be, I said this before, it needs to be optimized before those tools are implemented so that you can get even more gains. So every game should be able to do 120 frames with frame generation, with Every game should do that. But now they're doing, oh, it could barely get 60 with the frame generation. So they're doing it wrong, basically. They're doing it wrong. And the way that they're doing it is, yes, cheaper, and that's what the devs, the devs are kind of forced to do that, but that's about the publishers, and that's about the money, and that's about the time. So it's all business. It's all about money. So that's they will find out that putting out a shite game, people don't want that. You might find a little bit of success. You may be able to squeak by. You may be able to put out a shite game. But the fact is, if you want people to actually, you want long-term success with that game, then you're going to have to put more money into it anyway to fix all the problems that you didn't fix in the beginning, a la Cyberpunk, because Cyberpunk launched it was shite, basically, on console. At least PC, I think it squeaked through, but console, it was crap. And so they had to spend years and years and years working on that game. Hundreds of millions. I don't know how much money, but I would maybe on another $100 million or something like that. 50 million or whatever it is. They still got to spend more money to fix the broke stuff that they didn't fix in the first place. So you either fix it before you launch it, or you launch it in the hope that it's not so bad that people don't poo-poo it and say, forget this game, I'm going to play the other 59 million games that are out. It's better to launch a game with no bugs. There are literally no games that launch with 0 bugs, but minimal bugs. Starfield was the best optimized Bethesda game ever created launch wise. But there was other reasons why people hated on it, because it was an Xbox game, because of the loading, blah blah. All these other whatever. It's but AI is going to happen. If you don't think Sony's going to do the same thing, you're dreaming. If you don't think Sony is going to do the same thing. Now, they might not publicize it. It may not be publicized the same way because the media has a thing against Xbox, so they're going to point out, oh, they fired it and then AI stuff, blah, blah, blah. But when Sony does the same thing, which they will, because they were in AI before Xbox because of the cameras, the camera lenses, and they needed the AI stuff to do, it does a little bit of noise reduction, basically, on the low light imaging systems and stuff. So they have different uses for AI, obviously, but it's still the same. Their pisser tech is hot trash garbage. So it's so bad that they have to update it with people. Some idiots are saying, "Oh, it's FSR 4 or whatever." I'm like, you wish it was. FSR 4 can only run on, I believe it's Zen 4. Is Zen 4 or Zen 5? I can't remember what, but whatever it needs to run on doesn't exist in the PlayStation 5 Pro, so it's not gonna happen. So it'll be a iteration of FSR, 3.5 or whatever it is. It'll be better than Pisser Tech, but whatever. And they're just gonna name it Pisser Tech 2. Doesn't matter. But anyway, AI is here to stay. We just have to watch these companies and how they utilize it, pro and con. Sony's going to do it. Nintendo's going to do it. Whether or not it's publicized is a whole nother thing. But I guarantee you that these giant corporations, these billion-dollar corporations, are going to use any tool that they can to cut costs and make more money. That's what it is. That's the bottom line. And so that's what they need to do, and that's what they will do. So that was that. Switching topics real quick. So I watched Kojima, that guy, Hideo Kojima, or Kojima, however you want to say it. His OD knock trailer. Is it 3 minutes and change or something like that? 2:35. I don't remember how long it is. It's long enough. Here's a couple of things that I want to say about this. One, I appreciate that Kojima is using real actors. A lot of people do. A lot of games do. But how he uses them is, I haven't seen anyone use it as well as him. And he always they always look good in his games. 2, that being said, look at Death Stranding 2, and then look at OD Knock, and you tell me which one looks better. That's assuming that what they showed us was gameplay. Yes, it's in engine. We all know that Unreal Engine 5 looks beautiful in engine. Is that gameplay? Maybe. I would say yes, because of how Hellblade turned out. Hellblade, they showed the thing, they with the giant. I was like, yo, that looks cool. That's gameplay. And then they showed the stuff way before. And I was like, okay, that looks really good, but I don't know if that's gameplay. And then I played the game, and the game actually looked better than the gameplay that they showed the first time. And blah, 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 blah. So I'm like, and it's been years, and they've updated the engine and such. And Kojima has a thing about actors looking like actors in this stuff. That's one thing I'll give him. He makes it look good. That might be gameplay. Might be. If it is gameplay, I guess Decima engine is cool, but yo, the one thing that tripped me out, right, when she was there and dude opened the door or whatever, Monster Man opened the door, you couldn't really see the person, and she was like freaking out and crying, started crying and stuff. And I know the second time I noticed. The first time I didn't notice it. The second time I noticed like the burn kind of, not burn marks, but the burn shapes on her face. I thought it was just like kind of random swirls and stuff. And then the second time I watched, I was like, oh, wait a second. If there were faces on her neck and her face, I was like, yo, this game. And now I'm interested. And the fact that it's like an anthology and it's like Jordan Peele's involved, and I believe that this first Knock one is Hideo's baby. No pun intended. But so I'm like, okay, this is a good idea. This is a really good idea, because basically they could have, let's just say 5 different horror directors, right? I'm just saying 5. It could be 7. It could be 10. It could be 2, whatever. Let's just say 5, right? Jordan Peele, Hideo Kojima, James Wan, whoever else, whatever. Right? And they could be working on their anthology pieces in tandem at the same time, with different studios, or like at least writing it up. And so Hideo Kojima is doing his, and then Jordan Peele has his all written out, storyboarded, blah, blah, blah. They have to storyboard it because it is cinematic, in nature. Come up with a simple premise and hook, boom, boom, boom. And the fact that they're different directors, horror directors, makes it even more interesting, because I like Jordan Peele's work. I like what he does. There's something unsettling about his movies that, not just because there's black people in it predominantly. There's a couple of white people in it too, but mainly black people. But that's just a preference, obviously. And I think that's something a little, I think it adds a unique flavor, for lack of a better term, for his, and it also opens up to a broader audience, let's just say. And so I like Jordan Peele's stuff. And so, like, imagine him doing a short, basically. This is basically what the game is. Maybe it's 3 to 4 hours long, but, games are longer than movies inherently because of the interactivity of it. So imagine he does a 3 to 4 hour, game, which is equivalent to whatever, a half an hour, 40-minute short with his flavor. Imagine if was it them or us or whatever, or Nope? Well, Nope was a little weird. But any one of his films, imagine them being like a game. And it's like, oh, not that first one. What was the first one called? Anyway, it doesn't matter. But just the fidelity of it, the tech demo they showed last year or the year before, I was like, yo, that's real? Yeah, it was Unreal Engine. I see how they did it. I was like, yo, that looks really good. And now implementing that technology into, I wouldn't say a final product, but something real, tangible, a game concept, if you will. I'm looking at it. I'm like, the reason why he's important, it's not because of Metal Gear. I never got into Metal Gear. I never got into like really any of his games. I played Death Stranding. I was like, yeah, nah, I'm good. I didn't play, what was that other game he did for Genesis? I don't remember. I didn't really play any of his games, but I know of him obviously because he's very important. He's very famous, and he is important because he's one of the creators in the space in video games that is still pushing technology ahead, still pushing ideas ahead, still being an artist instead of playing it safe like what PlayStation's doing. He's like, yo, OD. And you know what else? What OD is, what OD represents is what PT's not premise, but its promise was, its potential was. OD fulfills that dream because PT was, it stood for playable trailer or whatever they called it, right? I'm like, okay, sure. But PT could have easily been an early prototype of OD. Nice and short, compact, boom, boom, little loopy hallway, boom, boom, stuff happens, there's a bathroom, blah, 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 stuff, radio, you know. And I'm like, that it seems like OD was born from that kind of germination, that little germ there, that little seed. And I'm like, and this is just the start. I want to see what different actors are going to be in it. I mean, this is going to be a fun ride. And the fact that they're like short pieces of games, they're not like whole 80-hour games or something, like, you know, maybe like I said, a 5-hour experience or something like that. If that means that they can put it out real quick, real early. It doesn't have to be $20 per episode or something like that, even if that, you know what I mean? I bet you, or you say you want to buy the whole anthology, then it's full price, and then you get 6 episodes or whatever. You know, save money if you buy a whole thing or something. I don't know. There's different ways they could split it up and make that money. I mean, it's probably going to be in Game Pass because Xbox Game Studio, so that's cool. But my point is that they won't take forever to come out. And with the way it looked, I'm like, look, if it comes out next year, that's cool. If one comes out every year, that's cool. Give them a year to make each episode, each anthology piece, and let's go. And this is a representation of how the industry is changing in a good way. We don't need to have a template of what Sony kind of created at the end of the PS3 into the PS4 and into PS5. Obviously, it failed because when's the last time that a game like that came out? You know what the budget for Ghost of Yote is? It ain't 200 million. They say it's 60. I don't believe that. Maybe it's true, but I'm like, well, I mean, didn't they have to build a new map? It's not like they had the engine already, but they had the engine for the first game too. So it's not like they had to build some new technology because they already had that engine. It's Sucker Punch. They made open world games before. So, yeah. So in that respect, maybe it costs 60, but I doubt it. I think they're underflating. I think they're shooting low. I think they're telling us a lower number for reasons. I'm not sure exactly why. I think because the stigma is that, they spend too much money on their games and blah, blah, blah. But we'll see. We'll see what the end monies is. They have to say that stuff in their financials anyway, but it's not important. What is important is that OD looks crazy nice. I ain't seen nothing in one polygon. It was so smooth and delicious looking. Yeah. And then you see that Xbox game, so I'm like, woo. And it'll probably be on everything. I mean, that might be one of Kojima's clauses. Like, yeah, I want it on everything, son. I mean, but the thing is, it's going to be on Game Pass, so Game Pass subscribers, we get it. But everybody else, y'all got to pay. Just saying. And that in itself is a winning strategy for Xbox because, you know, all these families and stuff are trying to game on a budget, and you can't do that if you got to buy all the games. You know, Sony doesn't get it. They just want to charge and charge and charge. You know, despite the raises of prices, I already went through that before with the console stuff, and that's an adjustment of plus the tariff stuff, but that's just an excuse, like I said last time. But it's an adjustment of what they want to do, and they look at Nintendo, and like Nintendo's been charging what they need to. They have not lost money on their consoles I don't know if they ever have, but for years, let's just say. And they're making bank, and they sold the most consoles, not because they weren't taking a loss on the console, but because of the type of console it was. So that those things aren't related as far as cause and effect, but it doesn't hurt the fact that they sold the most consoles and they didn't take a loss on the console. So boom, that's where they make. I don't want to say most of their money. They make most of their money on the games because they sold a bunch of games too. But these console makers, these hardware manufacturers, are no longer taking a loss. And if you think about it, the video game industry, Microsoft, Sony, they were like the only industry that I know of that took a loss on their product in order for people to buy it, in order to get them all out there. I'm trying to think. Did any other piece of hardware ever do that? I think it's just been PlayStation and Xbox for years, right? Like cell phones don't do that. And that's another thing. I know I mentioned this before, but they're looking at all these devices that we buy, right? We buy cell phones that are at least double the amount of the highest console today. Maybe not, close to double the amount, right? You spend over $1,000 on a phone, and they're looking at like, what? This console has way more technology than that little phone that you put in your pocket. Why don't people want to, because one, everybody needs a phone. It seems like more of a necessity than a console. Console is more of a luxury item. Phone is, it feels more like a necessity. It feels more like a part of everyday life. While I said, again, console is like a grown-up toy or a little kid toy. It's a toy. And that's the problem where the disconnect is for these companies, thinking they can, charge this amount of money. I mean, they're doing it because they're prepping us for the next gen. And I see that. So I'm like, okay, whatever. But I think what ultimately it'll help the industry, because then the either the prices will go down or the industry will shrink a little bit more than it is. But at the same time, I think it's gonna grow laterally, if that makes sense. Meaning, with the multi-device strategy, I think there are going to be a lot of other different devices that will be able to take advantage of what Microsoft is doing. For instance, there's a bunch of handheld PCs, right, that can run Windows 11. Not just the ROG Ally X, the Legion Go. There's other ones. There's a bunch of Chinese manufacturers that make little handheld PC jabs that are fairly cheap, maybe $300 and you could slap Windows 11 on it. I don't know how to do that, but I'm just saying they do exist. And yeah, I mean, if your little chipset in that little thing is powerful enough, maybe you can get away with the new Xbox full screen experience. I've seen a bunch of people. I've seen Linus Tech Tips. I've seen your boy VG Fight School demo it live. There's just boop, 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 moving through. He's like, man, this stuff is quick. It's like, and Linus was playing some goofy hockey game. It was on Steam or something, and then he tabbed out, swipe up, all tabbed out, and he went to the desktop. Just boop, swipe over, press the button, boom, desktop. It came up just like that. And he's like, wait a second, what? It just died, man. That was quick. And then he went back to the game because the game was still. It just paused the game. So he went back to the game. Boom, game still running. Boom, go. I'm like, kind of feels like quick resume, don't it? Except quick resume doesn't keep the game running. It puts it in a save state basically, and you just load it back up, and it takes like 3 seconds, maybe 4 seconds. But yeah, that. Like what I've seen so far of that new UI that Xbox is pushing out for PCs and handhelds, I would just say just the new Xbox UI, because I want that UI. And I've heard not rumors, but people saying that, oh, they're going to backport it to the Xbox Series consoles. And I'm like, I mean, that's not impossible. But I don't know how that will work. I mean, anything's possible if they do that and they pull it off, and they're like, oh, okay, that's why y'all charging more money. It doesn't make sense why they're charging more money for the hardware. But I mean, I guess it takes money to develop the software, so they have to get the money from. I don't know. My brain's starting to hurt thinking about it. But just I know I went off a tangent, but OD is great. Knock, it looks good. I have great night expectations, but I'm very hopeful and excited and eager to see what Kojima and gang do, and Jordan Peele and whoever else joins the gang to get. And I'm not really a horror dude, but that looks kind of cool. And so I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna try that. It's different. Let's go. I want to see that new stuff, new technology. Let's go. And this. Like I said, he's important because he's pushing the boundaries. He's pushing the tech, and when you push the tech, that's what makes me excited, because he's given us a glimpse of the future. Because every time you see like some crazy high def or high technical demo, like whether it's PlayStation 2 with dinosaur running around, or whatever Xbox did, or PlayStation 3 with the ducks or something, you go back and look at those today and you're like, oh, that's what graphics look like now. You know what I'm saying? Oh yeah, the dinosaur, yeah, that's what PS3 looked like on a bad day. Now it looks way better than that. You know what I'm saying? So what Kojima's showing, hopefully, is gameplay and gameplay. Even if it's not, that is the future. That might just be next gen right there. I would say it is next gen. That, what they showed, it actually, now that I think about it, it actually might be next gen. Because next gen is like a year away, if that. So, yeah, okay. So yeah, that's where it's not too unbelievable and stuff. But yeah. But anyway, I'm sorry, I'm rambling. But I appreciate, hey, that's like and subscribe. Hit me down in the comments below. Let me know what you think about OD. I know you watched it. If you didn't watch it, go watch it. I know the I guess the State of Piss is tonight. I guess, but it's too early in the day, so it ain't on yet. And also the whole AI thing. If I didn't answer, or if you want to talk about it even more, we can have a deeper discussion. We can talk about it even more. I can dedicate a whole thing about it. Do a little bit more research in the different applications that AI is kind of posing in general, and also within the video game industry. I am interested in that stuff, but just let me know in the comments. I appreciate. Like I said, I read the comments, and you asked me the question, and I try. I'm sorry it took me a couple of videos, but I got to it. But yeah, let me know, and I appreciate y'all. And I take you on the next. Take the weed.